everyone. This is People in Power, and I'm Summer El-Shahat. On today's programme, Latvia's pulp fiction.
I think this is the limit. I mean, at some point it will have to go down because there will be a lot less wood available in the future. And you can't go on like this forever.
The Baltic nation of Latvia is blessed with some of the most beautiful forests in the world. Thousands of square kilometres of pristine woodland that support a complex biodiversity of rare animals and plants. But now, with the Latvian economy in difficulties and the country in dire need for money, those trees are being cut down at an alarming rate. Overseas demand for the timber is high, particularly in the United Kingdom, which takes more than a third of Latvia's exports. Many of the products of that trade, from furniture to wood pulp to paper, are sold in the UK under a labelling scheme run by the Forest Stewardship Council, an international NGO that certifies timber is being sustainably produced. But is that really the case? Filmmaker Glenn Ellis has been to investigate the deforestation of a European wilderness.
Last month, London hosted the first ever Baltic Nordic Summit, which focused on trade and the environment. 9 heads of state attended, including the Latvian Prime Minister, Valdis Dombrovskis.
We want this to be the greenest part of the world. We want this to be a part of the world that demonstrates that green is about green tech and jobs. And I think we've got the expertise and the resources and the enthusiasm to do just that.
But Britain's appetite for Latvian timber calls into question this enthusiasm. Latvia is a remarkable country because of its unique forests. Often described as one big nature reserve, it has almost 28,000 species of flora and fauna, many of which are endangered elsewhere in Europe. In summer, some of the world's rarest birds breed here, including the lesser-spotted eagle.
The main reason behind the large biological diversity in forests is not that the forests haven't been disturbed, but they've been managed for a long period of time non-intensively until about 1960. And that's the main reason why there are large populations of black storks. And of the wolf and the lynx, well, the wolf, lynx, and beaver are the animals that Latvia have permission to hunt in Europe because there are large populations of them.
Latvia's forests are also unique for having thousands of key habitats, small ecosystems rich in biodiversity.
It's estimated that about 70% of the woodland key habitats are not identified yet, and these forests are being cut. One example, in the summer, with students, we were in one black alder swamp. And in that swamp, there's 6 indicator species and 1 European protected species of mosses and lichens. And last month, when I drove past the area, it had been cut down.
This year, Latvia is experiencing its hardest winter for over half a century. Trees have fallen onto power lines. Much of the country is without electricity. As far as the forests are concerned, it's a catastrophe. These trees, seen bent over, have literally frozen to death. You might think that with the heaviest snow for 70 years, the logging industry would grind to a halt. But you'd be wrong. Latvia is one of the most densely forested nations in Europe, with over 50% forest cover, some 12,000 square miles. These are mostly state-owned and managed by LVM, the state logging company. A third of this timber is exported to the UK, guaranteed as having been sustainably harvested by the Forest Stewardship Council, the FSC, a registered charity. On its website, the FSC says it is dedicated to promoting responsible management of the world's forests. And when you see the FSC logo on a label, you can buy timber and other wood products, such as paper, with the confidence that you are not contributing to the destruction of the world's forests.
If you have FSCs, then they can't say that you are, for example, destroying forests.
But can the FSC logo be trusted?
In the end of the day, it's a marketing tool, and nothing else.
Companies around the world wishing to have the FSC logo on their product have to pay for the privilege. In the UK, the FSC stamp provides the charity with 70% of its income. And it can be seen prominently on any number of products.
They like to flaunt the fact and use it in their advertising that they are meeting our FSC, that they're meeting our FSC rules and that they're committed to our principles. We have to check that, so we charge them, but it's of great value to them. That's where the return is to the company, because they're associating themselves with us.
But many of Latvia's precious forests, supposedly protected by EU law, are being cut down at an unsustainable rate. The timber is removed and passed on to UK consumers, sold with the FSC logo on it. Forest harvesters like this one have a cutting power equal to 30 chainsaws. A tree that has taken over 100 years to grow can be reduced to logs in 2 minutes. In Latvia, 150 harvesters work night and day with a capacity to consume 15 million cubic meters every year, double the legal limit. But more harvesters are on the way, and there is no stopping them. A concerned insider told me that no one really knows how much forest is being cut. Part of the confusion is that when an area is replanted, it's classified as forest, even though the saplings are just a few inches tall and take 100 years to reach maturity. LVM, the state logging company, are the main beneficiary of this industrial felling.
First, I will explain to you on the computer what are we doing, how are we doing that, and after that we can go to the forest and see how all of that looks in the reality.
Thomas Kotovic was eager to defend LVM's case as responsible forest managers. Having shown us a computer presentation, he took us to a felling site known as a stand and translated for the foreman.
And this particular stand was 132 years old, so this means it was older than usual. And one can very easily see here all the things that we leave here for the nature, these values which are left for the nature to thrive.
In recent years, the practice of clear cutting has taken root in Latvia. This is where a large area of forest, say 10 hectares, is stripped of virtually every tree. This has left Latvia riddled with a patchwork of tens of thousands of clear cuts. At ground level, it's hard to see their impact. But from the air, the full scale is obvious. Maris Strasd has been studying clear cuts for many years.
That actually shows how approximately our forests look from above. So this is this chessboard picture. All the light bits are clear cuts. You see that this is not a single location, and we can browse to almost any other part of the country. This fragmentation rate is simply unbelievable. Certainly people do not realize the true scale of what is going on yet.
The credit crunch has hit Latvia hard. Against the backdrop of riots in Riga over austerity measures, Latvia's forest is seen as a cash cow and has come under intense pressure. 2 years ago, the cabinet approved a doubling of the allowable cut.
This was a temporary measure, and temporary measure to overcome consequences of economic crisis, and primarily targeted to keep the jobs in forestry and forest-based industries.
But logging on this scale is not sustainable and threatens the very jobs they are claiming to support. But are they likely to increase it again?
I think this is the limit. I mean, at some point it will have to go down because there won't be enough wood. At some point in time, the Wood Federation will realize companies will go bankrupt because there will be a lot less wood available in the future. And you can't go on like this forever.
2 years ago it was said it will be a short-time increase for 2 years. 2 years have passed. Now it is kept for another 3 years. Possibly after another 3 years it will be said, okay, we need 10 more. And then it will be nothing left.
At any time, night or day, hundreds of logging trucks are on the move. Each truck can be pinpointed and directed to the correct sawmill from LVM's headquarters in Riga. This is one of the largest sawmills in Europe. Here, everything is automated. And like the forest harvester, this mill can reduce a log to planks in minutes. 60% of the wood from this sawmill is shipped to the UK, sold at home improvement stores such as B&Q, Homebase and Travis Perkins. Latvia's capital, Riga, has always prospered from its forests. Britain has been the main export market for over 300 years. The economic miracle following the fall of the Soviet Union was also built from the country's forests. 40% of GDP came from timber. Money poured into Riga, where the standard of living soared. But rural Latvia has changed little in the last 50 years. Wood is still the main material for house building and for fuel. Many homesteads own their own forests, where they harvest wood traditionally. They are worried about the dramatic increase in clear-cutting, seeing it as a threat to their way of life. Clear-cuts often destabilise surrounding forests, making them vulnerable to high winds, which can bring down trees. Guntārs Dulmanis is winner of the prestigious World Wildlife Fund Farmer of the Year award. Clear-cuts have had a devastating effect on his forest.
Nu, mēs te esam tādā vietā, kur grūti iedomāties, bet kādreiz bija ļoti skaists mežs, un tagad ir tikai celmi un izcirtums. Un vēl tā vieta nav izstrādāta. Viena maliņa redzat, tā te viss šitā visa lielā teritorija, tā gulēja koki, ja? Tā savukārt otrā pusē tas mežs stāv uz kājas, ja? Un tur tā cirsmiņa nav bijusi vēja pusē, un līdz ar to tur tie koki ir dzīvi. Un tas parāda to, ja tā nebūtu tā nelaimīgā cirsmiņa, šis viss mežs būtu tāds pats kā tas tur.
It's a total loss not only for biological diversity, but also for social reasons and also economic reasons, because the remaining forests are simply left to blow down.
Guntārs organised a petition of hundreds of local farmers, demanding LVM stop its clear-cutting operations.
Pasaulē ir cilvēkiem starptautiskai sabiedrībai, kad nav jau tikai tropu meži jāizstāv arī Latvijas lielā bioloģiskā daudzveidība, kas vēl ir saglabājusies, kas patiesībā ir pasaules dabas banka, tikai varbūt pasaulē nezina, kas te notiek.
We have received during last years several petitions from some places. We normally go there to take together with the local government, go to the forest and discuss it. We take a full discussion, what is happening here, why it is happening here, what can be done better, what cannot be done better, and normally we have always, up to now, we have always reached a full consensus on that.
The State Forest Service is responsible for policing LVM's operations. Many in the service are alarmed at the intensity of the logging, but are reluctant to talk openly. When asked, the Latvian Prime Minister glossed over criticism of state-run forestry.
We have several issues with private forest owners on questions of reforestation, and so where we, of course, should there be some irregularities, we try to impose fines and actually make sure that also private forest owners are doing their business properly, reforesting, but on Latvia state forest, I would say this system is basically working, and there are no major irregularities as regards reforesting and other activities.
This letter, shown to us by a former branch manager of the State Forest Service, is clear evidence that the organisation is powerless to control LVM's logging. Now a Member of Parliament, he's decided to go public.
Situācijā, kad mežniecība atteica ciršanas apliecinājumu akcijas sabiedrībai, tad, protams, valsts meža dienests mežniecības lēmumu atcēla, bet komentējot šo atcelto lēmumu, viņi vienkārši pierakstīja frāzi, ka tomēr valsts meža dienests nevar ietekmēt akcijas sabiedrības Latvijas valsts meža saimnieciskos lēmumus gadījumos, kad tie ir pretrunā meža saimniecības principiem, bet atbilst normatīvajiem aktiem. Šāds gadījums vairāk mēs neuzskaitījām, jo pēc šādas vienas atbildes vienkārši mežniecībās mežziņi jau vairāk citas atteikumus neraksta. Viņi pieņem to par pašsaprotamu no viena precedenta.
Last June, the issue came to a head when an FSC audit castigated LVM's operations. The audit found that the environmental impact of concentrated felling sites was not properly evaluated.
This is something what we feel just vice versa, because we are evaluating every felling site and the environmental impact of that just before the felling.
The audit described the system for protecting key habitats as not functional.
Again, also this is an issue where we don't agree 100% with the audit. Yes, there can be always find some places where maybe something doesn't function perfect.
The FSC audit confirmed that LVM has no system for protecting habitats of national and EU importance.
Well, this is, here we must, maybe we can now stop a little.
FSC auditors said LVM alone had almost doubled logging levels, resulting in a significant change to the ecosystem. Following the audit, LVM was suspended from the FSC, but incredibly, within 2 days, the company was allowed back into the fold.
In case of Latvia, I can say that when LVM got this certificate, from that moment on, the situation has become only worse.
For every forester, you have an opinion, and I'm absolutely certain that you could find someone who doesn't agree with the way that FSC goes about it. My feeling is you'd find another 90 who do.
Maris Strazd took us to some locations where LVM's FSC timber had been extracted, important areas for wildlife.
What are these footprints?
Well, it's almost certainly wild boar, because no other animal is leaving a kind of ditch in snow, because it's low and powerful to push the snow. And actually it makes sense really to follow this footprint, because it's much deeper there than it is here. The problem is when you have to go somewhere else, not where they want to go. This is certainly this black alder swamp habitat, which is EU directive, Habitats Directive object. And judging from size of the retention trees, it has been excellent piece. I have very little doubt that this should have been protected
If you are responsible for environment, you are not surprised by anything. But I think it's important that we are more and more aware how important it's protecting nature for our future.
The most striking example of LVM's indiscriminate logging was this nature reserve, which had recently been clear-cut. Again, it should have been protected by EU law.
Well, this is a board telling what for this nature reserve is created. And the principal species is one of the very rare beetles, which is hermit beetle. So the cutting of possibly suitable habitats within such place is really impossible to understand. So it is put in place to let others know what the values are, and then they destroy these values.
But can the EU take action if a member state steps over the line?
We have the possibility to go via the line of infringement, which is first giving them a kind of warning, letter of formal notice. Then next steps are done. At the final stage, we can send them also to court. And if we send them to the court also for the second time, because you have to follow the procedural rules, then we can imply also the fines, daily penalty, and a kind of a lump sum. So we have pretty strong armory in our hands in implementation of our legislation.
Certainly there are issues in forestry. I wouldn't say that everything is fine. There are many issues we need to deal with. There are also some issues as regards the health of the forest after storms, with some pests and so on. So there are, in fact, many issues we need to deal with our forest, and sustainable forestry is, of course, most important of them.
This is Riga Port, where consignments of timber are waiting to be shipped to the UK. Last year, timber exports rose by 53%. The UK remains the biggest customer. Latvian timber was even used in the construction of the Olympic Stadium, which was supposed to set a new benchmark in sustainable development.
The speed of using it is far beyond any sustainable use. So I would compare this, if you want to run a marathon, you need to run a marathon in a proper speed. But if you take it as 100 meters sprint, you will die. And in this case, of course, not company will die, forests will die.
At the moment, Latvia's forests are home to an astonishing array of plants and animals, unique in Europe. If the logging can be controlled, then the forests and the wildlife in them will be preserved for future generations. On its present course, they could be lost forever.
We asked the 3 UK home improvement retailers mentioned in our film, Homebase, B&Q and Travis Perkins, to respond to some of the issues it raised. B&Q and Homebase declined to comment. Travis Perkins gave us a statement. The company said that it buys Latvian timber in good faith from LVM, among other suppliers, but that the wood currently going through its sawmills came from logs stockpiled before LVM's suspension from the FSC. The company agreed that the situation in Latvia was far from satisfactory, but pointed out that LVM was now seeking recertification. It added,
Travis Perkins risk assesses all its timber buying activity. In this case, we take the view that the medium-term prospects for forestry management in Latvia are good and are better served by our continued interest in buying certified product from the country.
That's it for this edition of People in Power. If you'd like to comment on this episode or any other matter, we'd love to hear from you on aljazeera.net/English. Until next time, bye-bye.